We continue this afternoon's press conference. We have head coach Pascal Jansen. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. We'll go with Roberto in the room.
Hi, Pascal. Good to see you. You had a pretty long layoff with the cancellation of the previous game. How did you guys have training in this week? Did anything change?
Two things changed. We had an extra opportunity to train a little harder than with all the games scheduled. So it created that window, and it also created a window for a few guys to have a small breather in some days off. The guys that were in the Gold Cup got some days off in order to be off feet for a couple of days and refresh and get ready for the next sequence of games.
When you take a look back at Leagues Cup, what's your evaluation of the performance of the team?
In general, result-wise, we didn't succeed. We didn't get what we wanted. Obviously, in game two, we did a decent job. The final game was playing against a very strong side from Mexico, and I think you saw both teams competing at a very good level. However, some other factors were involved, which had a lot of influence on the game, unfortunately. And the first game, I asked myself if I would have done anything different. And the answer is no, because we came from an away stretch, which was a big burden on a few players within the team. And it's also my job to keep them healthy. So going into the first game, we were pretty confident to get the success that we were looking for. But like we discussed back then, Roberto, especially the second half, we should have taken more from that game. And the first half put us in a position that we had to chase the game, unfortunately.
With the final 10 games coming up, starting with Nashville, how are you looking at all those games?
It's the final stage of the league. Obviously, we've had our review, looked at how we got ourselves into this situation, the position that we are at now, how is the team still growing, moving forward. And the conclusion is very simple. It's got to be 10 finals to get what we want, and that's to be in the playoffs. That hasn't changed if you go back to the beginning of the season. But now, yeah, it's 10 games to get the job done. And we're very committed and very determined to make that happen.
Thank you.
Onto the Zoom, we'll go with Michael Ander.
Pascal, it's Mike Ander from Blue City Radio. Thanks as always for the time.
Hi, Michael.
I know fitness and preparation has been a big piece of something you've brought to the table for NYCFC. Relative to the cancellation of the Columbus match, can you talk about when you were made aware of that cancellation and how that might have impacted your decision? Were you too close to preparation to where it might have damaged some players?
No. As you know, Michael, we were still in the Leagues Cup. The final game against Toluca was priority number one, and we knew and we prepared ourselves for playing Columbus coming out of that game. And then obviously things changed rapidly coming out of that game. Different scenarios were still possible, and eventually the scenario was there, and the game was postponed and planned at a new date. And once we knew this was, I think, a couple of days, 1 or 2 days after the Toluca game, that it was final. We were able to make a new schedule and give a few players some time off and make our new plans going into the training schedule.
Michael Allen.
Hi, Coach. Michael Allen from Blue City Radio and Pro Soccer. Thanks for making the time. I just was wondering if you could speak to the signing of Raul Gustavo today. The club announced it today. How do you see him fitting into the back line there? What happens with Justin Hack, and how does that reverberate throughout the team? And also, when can we expect to see him on the field?
Well, I hope as soon as possible. Paperwork is being dealt with, so we'll have to see. And once he's in New York, in what kind of state he is. The previous period, he's been in Manchester training and making sure that he stays healthy and gets closer to the team load as the team has been moving forward. Apart from Raul, on pitch, we'll have to see. You mentioned Justin. I know Raul can play as a left centre back, but I also know Raul that he is able to play in a back three, back four as a left fullback. So he gives us a lot of flexibility and new solutions that we can apply within the team. So, and like always, and all the players in our dressing room, you have to earn the minutes in order to play for the team, and that won't be any different for Raúl coming in.
Christian?
Hi, Coach. Just building on that, Raul was very complimentary about how you helped him adjust to life in Hungary and in general said you were very caring with your players. What does it mean to you to hear your players talk about you in such terms?
Yeah, I saw some parts of that interview. It's a description that I would always like to hear from my players that I work with or still work with. Of course, a caring coach, but also a straightforward coach, always telling the truth and making sure that you're able to help players get to a place where they can perform at their best for the team. And so I was very flattered to hear those words from Raúl, and I hope to see him soon so we can be competitive again together.
If I can just follow up, looking at the record against Nashville, it's very even. 2 wins for both teams and a draw. You've obviously already played them and got that draw as well. Why do you think the teams seem to match up so similarly, or the results, I should say, seem to match up so similarly like that?
That's an interesting question. But you also mentioned I only have the experience of one game playing against them. When we did our review going into this game and looking back at the game that we played in Nashville, there were some interesting things there because I think there were two teams on pitch with an attacking philosophy and going at it at a very good level. First half, that game was for Nashville, and the second half was for us. So we hope to build on that second half, of course, if you look at that game specifically. But two attacking teams with some good players on board and good philosophy, if you ask me about the game. So I'm looking forward to having our first win at a home ground against Nashville because, like I said to Roberto earlier on, for us, it's one of those 10 games to get us into the position that we want to be, and that is for the playoffs.
You touched on it there as well. It's one of those 10 games. We're approaching that final stretch, if you will, of the regular season. What is your mentality personally that you're trying to deliver onto these players as you approach that last stretch?
No different to the mentality that we try to bring into the dressing room or add to the dressing room from game number one or from day number one even. That's making sure that you have the winning mentality always, whatever game you play and whenever you play. Now it's going to be the final stretch of 10 games to get what we are chasing from day one. We know what's at stake and we know what it takes. We know what we're good at and what we are less good at. And that's something that you have to be aware of going into this final stretch in order to have the biggest chance of getting the results that are needed to get yourselves into the playoffs.
Thank you.
Michael Ender.
Pascal, if we can talk about Nico real quick. You were growing him into his minutes, 30 minutes, then 45, then 60. That I wonder if this postponement of the Columbus game hurt him or helped him. And then secondly, the versatility of the frontline attackers. Are there players specifically playing for one or two spots, or is it, hey, I've got 4 or 5 guys that can all play across the front line and I got to pick the best 3 for every match?
Well, the first part of your question, I think you're trying to hear something if Nico is available for 90 minutes now. I can be very clear on that. Training schedule-wise, everything is planned very precise, and Nico is available for 90 minutes now. So it's a big compliment to the rest of the team getting him ready, and especially to Nico himself. So he's ready to play and go for the full 90 into the next game. And the game that was postponed helped us, of course, because we could do some more training sessions in order to get him ready for the next one. The flexibility up front for the attacking line is something that I'm very happy with as a coach. And of course, I always look together with my staff what is the most successful lineup in general for all the 10 outfield players, but also looking at the attacking line, who creates the most chances and who create the most possibilities to score goals and who are the most effective ones with the outcome of scoring goals. Obviously, Nico is one of the players that has been brought in to add more assists or more attacking threat and add more goals eventually. Alonso's quite clear, and then we have a few other guys that are in competition with each other in order to add that value and that outcome for our team. You know that Maxi Morales is a big piece in that whole picture. So for me as a coach, that is a blessing to have so many attacking players who can add these things to the game and add success to the team. So it's always interesting to be a coach to have these possibilities and these players at your service. But that's part of the job.
Final one, Michael Allen.
Yeah, Coach, just one more question. Specifically about the Nashville game. You mentioned the May 31st game being a really even game where you guys won the second half and Nashville won the first half. Looking back on the time in between the two games, how do you feel the team has evolved from that point in the season? And then playing at Yankee Stadium, do you feel like gives you any particular advantages or disadvantages facing this Nashville squad?
Well, the home advantage is something that is part of the MLS that I've gotten to learn about that myself as well this season. So the home advantage is there, of course. We don't have to travel. We play in our own stadium with our own fans supporting us going into this final 10-game streak of the season. So and playing a good team like Nashville helps as well because over the season, playing the top games has brought out the best in us as well. However, that also points out the other part where we played teams that were lower seeded than us and we dropped points. So the consistency part is still up for discussion for us. And since we played Nashville away, we've had some good results, but also some results that are unexplainable and is still affecting our process in becoming more consistent throughout the season. So hopefully we can manage to be very consistent throughout the last 10 games of the season, and then it will give us what we're looking for, as I mentioned earlier on, that spot in the playoffs.
Great. Thank you, everybody.